podcast episode 3 with myself, Gary, and Ant. How are you doing, mate? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks very much.
Yeah, spot on, mate, spot on. Right, so episode 3, gonna have a brief roundup of the Jan transfer window. Just kind of the dealings, the wheelings and the dealings and stuff, and like who's done alright in this window and who kind of has made a few confusing transfers. How does that sound to you, mate?
Yeah, really good. Yeah.
Cool.
Looking
Spot
forward to it.
on. Interesting fact for you as well. It's the quietest transfer window in 9 years. Premier League teams have spent no more than Liverpool spent on Virgil van Dijk.
It's COVID, isn't it? It's because that nobody's got any fans coming in. They're not generating any revenue, so they're basically just relying on whatever money that they've managed to scrimp and save. I mean, I'm not surprised in the slightest that it was the quietest one. I felt a bit sorry for all of the news outlets having to, do, obviously Sky Sports do, they do a massive transfer deadline day, and I think the biggest signing was possibly Josh Madgett to Fulham or something like that. It was really weird. Like, oh, we're hoping to get a couple of deals over the line, or we're not sure. Josh King's gone to Everton or something like that. It was normally there's a big one, isn't there? There's normally a huge signing, but it's obviously COVID related because none of the big sides, none of any sides are getting any revenue in. So I think it's going to be harder for the bottom three in the Premier League to survive, I think, because they're not going to be able to rely on any real signings. I know West Brom made 5 great signings, I don't think. So it'll be interesting, but I think it'll probably kind of kill off the bottom 3. And for me, I think they're probably dead and buried, to be honest, unless a great change of form comes around. Sheffield United are showing signs of improvement, but that's it, really.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. But one of the first teams I want to just have a bit of a chat with you about is Arsenal's business this window. So obviously, from their end, the big outgoing, Mesut Ozil, Fenerbahce. I'm going to say it's 350k off the wage budget, but I don't think that's the case. I think Arsenal for years to come are probably going to still be paying a contribution to that wage. I don't imagine he's took a pay cut to go to Fenerbahce. But apparently, I mean, if you believe everything you read, that him and Socrates, who's also gone, there were bad influences on the team, so to speak. But it's all hearsay. Ozil's moved on, Socrates has moved on. They've also brought in Matt Ryan on loan and the Wonder Kid, the Martin Odegaard. How do you think their business has gone down?
I think Odegaard will be a very interesting sign, and I'm looking forward to seeing him play because obviously he was very highly rated when Real Madrid spent a lot of money for him when he was about 10. And he hasn't quite done it, as he's been out on loan a couple of times for Real and not quite hit the heights that he was kind of being hoped.
Well, it's a weird one for Odegaard because he's been sent on loan. He was meant to be on a 2-year loan to Sociedad. They pulled him back, and then they sent him out on loan again.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think it's a no-lose really for him.
Yeah.
He's going to come and get used to English football. It's going to take a while for him, especially when he's so young. On Mesut Ozil, I mean, it was coming, wasn't it? I mean, he's never been really under Arteta. He's barely played this season. I don't think he has played at all this season, to be honest. But he hasn't played many. If he hasn't, getting left out the Europe squad, the writing was on the wall. But I mean, for him, Fenerbahce is a great club to go to. He'll be loved. He'll be automatically the biggest name in Turkish football. So it'll go down well. But if I was an Arsenal fan and you've got rid of Mesut Ozil, who's has got the ability to change a game in an instant, and they've signed an unproven kid, you're kind of thinking, well, it's probably the Arsenal way, I suppose, but you're kind of thinking he'd probably keep Odegaard for another 6 months, really. But I hope Odegaard does well at Arsenal because it's big for him. So I think it'll be a great be an interesting signing, I think, to say the least.
I think Odegaard, I think he'll do well. I think he's going to fit in with their philosophy at the moment, obviously, with the kids like Saka, Martinelli, Emile Smith-Rowe. I think he's really going to fit in there. And, I think it's a win-win deal for everyone. Like, they've got a young up-and-coming Arsenal. Wolves went to Fenerbahce. I think the last time the Turkish league had a signing which stood out was Wesley Sneijder at Galatasaray. I
Mm.
mean, I might be wrong there. I'm sure anyone who follows the Turkish league will probably tell me that I am, but that's another story for another day.
Jermaine Lens.
Jermaine Lens, yeah. You know what?
Jermaine Lens.
Yeah, Jermaine Lens.
Big
Legend, not.
I think, from an Arsenal fan's point of view as well, though, you're kind of looking at, like, Odegaard coming in, he's kind of the same player as Emile Smith-Rowe, who's been doing very well in that position. So are they going to be maybe stopping an Arsenal kid's development who's going to be at Arsenal for many years for a lad who I highly doubt Arsenal will sign him at the end of the season, because it'd be for Real Madrid to try and, turn into one of the world's best players if he's got that ability. So, I think if you're an Arsenal fan looking at replacing Noza with a kid on loan when you've already got someone who's doing that job, they kind of didn't really need him, man. Like, Arsenal's always been crying out for defenders. They've never had, ever since, the days of Tony Adams and Nigel Winterborn, they were superb. And then ever since then, they've never had a decent defence, have they? They've been really poor. And there was probably defenders out there to be had. But, they've stuck with David Luiz, who's, to be honest, a liability. And it's strange. They've never wanted to improve on the defence. I always find that strange.
I agree with that. They've got rid of Mustafi as well.
Mustafi, who I think he was one. I think was he a transfer deadline. He was going to be going somewhere on a free, wasn't he? But I don't think it went through. But they've just never seemed to. It's been gaping for them for around about 5, 6, 7 years. It's been gaping that they need to improve the defence, and they've never done it. It's very strange.
Oh, 100%. But we'll see how they do come the end of the season. Next point that I just want to go on to is Fikayo Tomori to AC Milan on loan. English defender, capped once by England, hasn't really fit in with Chelsea's plans, so he's been sent out on loan. What's your thoughts on that one? Will it be a good move for him, do you think?
I'm surprised he's gone so early into Tuchel's career. I'm not overly certain Tuchel had a say in it. I think that deal was obviously in the pipeline long before Tuchel came in.
I think he went when Lampard was in charge.
Pardon?
I think he went when Lampard was in charge, if I remember correctly.
So for him, obviously going from a big club to another big club is fantastic, and hopefully he gets the game time. I quite like him actually. Tomori, I think he's a good player. I would have him in me defence ahead of Thiago Silva for one. I would probably say ahead of Kurt Zouma, although Zuma's had a good season. He's always got a mistake in him. But yeah, as long as he gets out there, develops. Surprised a British team weren't after him. Surprised, some lower league Premier League side didn't take a chance on him. Someone like Newcastle maybe could have seen him as a long-term target. But best luck to him with it as well.
Fair enough. And one that kind of came out the woodwork, and I'm going to touch on a couple of the this team's signings as well, is Yannick Bolasie on loan to Borough from Everton. In my honest opinion, I think that's a good signing.
Fantastic signing for Borough. He's had such a bad luck with injuries, hasn't he, Bolasie? I've been out for 2 years before he started playing again. He's obviously, he's not going to get into an Everton side that's flying at the moment, especially ahead of, James Rodriguez, Richarlison, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, their forward line. He's not going to get anywhere near there at the minute. So for Borough, perfect coach to go and be on loan under Neil Warnock. Absolutely fantastic coach. He'll do well there as well. Borough are fighting for the playoffs in the Championship. They've got a good side as well. Again, maybe Borough, I'd be a bit disappointed if I was Lewis Wing, who's, I think, an excellent player, local lad as well. I think he's an excellent player. He's going to be probably out on his ear, I think, a little bit. But for Bolasie himself, a great move to a great. I'm not going to say a great club, but a good manager there who's will develop him well. So it'll only be good news, that one, and hopefully he can get himself fit, because he's a good player, Yannick Bolasie, and he'll do well. Deserves a bit of luck for a change.
So what do you think of Josh King at Everton? I mean, in my honest opinion, I think that's a very confusing signing. They've only signed him till the end of the season. Like, I think it's a really confusing signing.
Yeah, but they needed cover for Calvert-Lewin. If Calvert-Lewin gets injured, they haven't got anybody, because they let Czech Tosun go out on loan, didn't they? And if Calvert-Lewin, he's obviously, his goals have dried up recently. I know he got one at the weekend, but his goals have dried up recently. He started the season on fire, but I think that's actually quite a clever signing. I'm a bit surprised it's only until the end of the season, but I think it's quite a clever signing for Everton, because Josh King on his day is a very, very good Premier League footballer. Again, another one who's been injured for a little while this season for Bournemouth. But I think it's quite a clever sign. It was quite astute from Carlo Ancelotti to get him in. I think it'll turn out to be one of the better transfer deadline day signings, that one.
Well, I think we've got conflicting opinions with that one, because I find it confusing, because he's not a goal scorer as such. He doesn't really set the world on fire when it comes to scoring his goals. He is a very technical player, but if Calvert-Lewin gets injured, they've got Richarlison who can come in and get goals. But if it's Josh King on his own up front, is the reliance going to be on the goals coming from the wing players or James Rodriguez? I find it a bit confusing, but I do think, like yourself, he's a good player. I just find it a confusing transfer.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean, but if you're a side like Everton who have chosen to let Tosun go out on loan, and you're looking at a championship, championship striker, but he's plied his trade in the Premier League for the best part of 5 years. It's quite a clever signing, I think. I think he will do well. I think he'll end up. I think we'll be quite surprised with that one. I get what you mean about he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, but he has tipped in with a few goals, for Bournemouth. He always scores in big games as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a few goals for them. I really do. I think it's probably one of the most clever signings of obviously a window where you can't spend too much money. I think it's quite a decent one.
Oh, we'll see what happens with it. We'll see what happens.
We'll agree to disagree.
We'll agree to disagree on that one, but we'll see what happens. Next team I'm going to touch on all the points at the same time. It's going to be Liverpool. So they've sent out Minamino on loan. They've brought in Ben Davies from Preston. They've sent Van den Berg there as part of that deal, and they've brought in Ozan Kabak from Schalke on loan. Initially on loan anyway. So they brought in 2 defenders. Seems a bit like panic buys. And they've sent out the winger Minamino on loan because he's just not getting the game time. What do you reckon of their business?
Yeah. Well, the Minamino one's because he's shite. I think that's quite an easy one for that one. He's not impressed me at all for Liverpool. I think he was just bought to sell strips in Japan. That was my only basis of. I'm not sure where he was going to fit in at all. Where they've got Sané, Salah, Jota. I know Jota was signed afterwards, but Shaqiri, who for me are all better than him. The 2 defenders, they had to sign defenders. They've got three of their centre halves now out for the season. They had to go and sign somebody there because they can't keep on playing Fabinho and Jordan Henderson at centre half, because you can see in Liverpool's most recent form they are missing Henderson in the midfield and they're missing Fabinho in the midfield. They're losing that steel in the midfield. And Henderson especially, I mean, I can go on about Jordan Henderson until the cows come home, but he's, for me, is Liverpool's most important player, and having to play him out of position, in a position where you can tell he's not comfortable in. He's done well there, but they had to go and sign someone in defence. Kabak, I think Kabak's actually quite a good signing because he's in a very, very bad Schalke side, and he's done relatively well. Pardon?
I think Schalke are at the bottom of the league at the moment.
Yeah, they're absolutely awful, mate. They're dreadful. But I think I've watched a couple of times this season. I think he has done relatively well. I think he'll do well. Liverpool's a ball-playing defender, so they'll enjoy him being there. Ben Davies, I've seen a couple of times for Preston, not really been that impressed with him. But, I mean, it's a great move for him. Fantastic move for him to go to the league champions, Champions League winners, one of the best clubs in the world. He'll enjoy it, but you ask me next season where he's going to be playing, I can imagine he'll probably be back at the Championship side on loan. So it's basically a stopgap, isn't it? Probably both of them are stopgaps, to be honest, until Van Dijk and Gomez are fit. But, they had to sign some defenders, otherwise their season would have petered out. It's in danger of petering out anyway. But they'll probably be more solid now with them two coming in.
What you reckon of Magic at Fulham?
You know what? I mean, obviously, we're Sunderland fans. I mean, I'm obviously on a Sunderland podcast, and I wish Josh Maja all the best. I really, really hope he gets a few goals for them. Do I think he will? Probably not, because I don't think he's ready for Premier League yet. He hasn't appeared many times for Bordeaux this season. So it's a good, you know what, he was at Fulham originally before Sunderland signed him. So it's him going home. So he'll enjoy being back in England. He enjoy probably being back in London. I hope for a few reasons it's successful. I hope for him it's successful. I hope Fulham it's successful. It's quite like Fulham as a football club, and I hope for Sunderland really it's successful, because we'll be due a fair bit of that transfer fee, which I think is 10 million. So, for us being obviously Sunderland will have to become a selling club now, being in League One, develop youth for them to go out and hopefully get money for them. I think it'll end up being quite good, but it's a strange one. It's a strange one for Fulham. They need him to hit the ground running, because what's his bloody name, Gary? The Turkish striker. He used to play for Mitrovic.
The Serbian. I thought you were thinking about the Turkish striker.
No, I got him wrong. You might have to edit that bit out. No, you don't edit it, but that was dreadful. So for Mitrovic, he hasn't done it this season, and Madgen needs to hit the ground running. So be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, nice to see another young English lad coming back. So it'll be good. It'll be great for him. For Mitrovic, he hasn't done it this season, and Madgen needs to hit the ground running. So be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, nice to see another young English lad coming back. So it'll be good. It'll be great for him. Fingers crossed he does really well.
All right. What do you know about William Jose, Wolves on loan? I thought that was quite a surprising one. I remember talking to the lads chat, and I didn't even realise he signed for them. What do you think of him? See much of him? Do you know much about him?
Well, they needed to replace Jimenez, didn't they? Because Jimenez is out for the season. So anything that they can get that can improve their attacking prowess, because I mean they have not been the same since Jimenez got injured. And I like Wolves as well. Wolves are a good side, but they needed someone to come in, because they were stuck with Fabio Silva, who is only a kid. So
he's not ready.
Yeah, interesting. No, interesting signing again. Yeah, fingers crossed for them. It improves them.
I mean, William Jose was linked with a lot of massive clubs, Barcelona, not so long ago. I think they opted for Martin Braithwaite, the former Borough lad, instead of William Jose.
That's such a strange signing. It'll always
weird transfer. But William Jose, like, Solskjaer came out today and said they're hopeful the transfer gets made permanent, which I think is a strange one, but be a good signing for Wolves. I think him and Jimenez, if they decide to go with two up front, would be good long term. But we'll see what happens. Next, going to move on to who I think's done some quite good business, to be honest. West Brom. Maitland-Niles in. They brought in OK Yakulasu from Celta on loan. Very complimentary in regards to the Turkish lad, because he went down the routes of he always looks for that kind of holding midfielder. He did it at Palace with Mihailovic and Kirchhoff at Sunderland.
He kind of stumbled upon that one though, didn't he?
if it works for him, it works for him. Maitland-Niles, I think he's got a lot of potential. I think West Brom's done some good business there, in my opinion.
Had to though. Again, there was side who had to. Sam's gone there and he won one game in 10. I think long term West Brom will be really regretting selling Bilic, because I thought that was a pathetic selling. To be honest, I don't know what they were expecting. Especially in, like we touched on before, COVID being such a huge factor in not being able to sign players who you'd want to sign, and then it was after they drew with City 1-1. You know, they're the last team to take points off City in the sacked him. It was craziness. It was absolutely craziness. But on them signings, I mean, Maitland-Niles is a great signing. You know, he could have gone to, you know, higher teams than that, but he wants to play midfield, doesn't he? So he'll play every game for them as long as he's fit. Good signing. They've signed a striker. Hopefully he'll hit the ground running. I hope Sam keeps him up because obviously, again, going down the Sunderland route, I love Sam Allardyce, but I can't see it, Gary. I think they'll go down.
I think he's took the impossible job that he can't actually make possible, in my honest opinion here.
He'll end up resigning in April or something like that, you know. But the thing is, will they sack him because he's on a terrible run? Like I say, he's only won one game in 10. They drew against Fulham on Saturday gone, and then they lost on Tuesday night. And they need to start winning games. You need to start winning games massively now. You need to go on a run now. He did it with us. Like, obviously, we had a terrible January, and then he turned it around in February, March when we were fantastic. So, but he needs to do it. He needs to do it quickly. And I don't think them players are as good as what he's brought in the past, which will probably hinder him a little bit.
Yeah, well, he sent Raheem Harper out on loan to a team in the Championship. I can't remember which team, but Slaven Bilic was a big fan of his, and I'm pretty sure he's a young lad, has a bit of ability, but I could be wrong on that one. So I thought that was quite surprising, but obviously he mustn't just fit his long-term plan. I think what he needs experienced players and who can do a job. But
they signed Robert Snodgrass as well, didn't they?
He loves a bit of Robert Snodgrass, doesn't he?
Superb signing. Well, that's a great signing for West Brom. That, you know, a great professional footballer. You know, just, steady away. But what a sign that is for nothing. That's a great signing.
No, he's not going to set the world on fire, but he always makes a difference in every team he plays in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's steady away. He's steady 7 out of 10 every week. So that'll be a good signing for them. But like I said, they need to start winning quickly. So it'll be an interesting one for Sam.
Who's got more chance of an escape, West Brom or Sheffield United? There's a question.
I think probably West Brom, because Sheffield United have just left it far too late. They are starting to turn it around a little bit, but you know, there's so many points behind them, and they need to win it. Probably they can't afford to lose more than 3 more games, I would say. There's 17 games left, and they're still a mile behind. So I would probably say West Brom have got more of a chance, but I do genuinely think that the 3 at the minute now will go down. I can't see any of them 3 putting a run of form together and then another team going on such a disastrous run. You know, I know Newcastle are on a really bad run at the minute, but they picked up a great win against Everton the other day. So, you know, that's a huge win for them. And I think Newcastle end up just picking up enough wins to get away.
Yeah.
Brighton, fantastic win the other night against Liverpool, and then they beat Tottenham. You know, they've won 2-2. So they're looking to pull away. Burnley will always have something in their arsenal to come away from that. So I do think the 3 at the minute are down. But
what do you think of Newcastle's business, getting that Willock in on loan? What do you reckon of that?
Yeah, a good signing for Newcastle. I'm not sure why they went for a centre midfielder when they've got both Longstaff brothers, who I know they haven't done it as well this season, but you know, develop players you've got at the minute. You know, not sure how much game time Willock will get, to be honest. I'd have rather had seen Newcastle sign maybe another centre half, because I know they've got a lot of injuries there. What Newcastle probably want and need is a change of manager. I think that's what they'd have wanted in the transfer window, because Bruce hasn't particularly set that on a light, and I know the fans are very much against him at the moment. So I think for Newcastle, a change of manager would have been better than signing Joe Willock. But again, hopefully Willock does well at Newcastle.
I do think Bruce is on the ropes, but again, another point for another day, I assume. So the last transfer that I just want to touch on, and I put this on my Twitter the other day. Something's telling me I should put him in my dream team, and I don't know what. Jesse Lingard.
Yeah,
man of the match performance, 2 goals in his debut.
Exactly. I mean, but Jesse Lingard at Man United, where are you going to put him? You know, we had this conversation about the best and worst signings, and I said the same about Donny van de Beek. But where are you going to play Lingard? You know, and it was a perfect opportunity for him to go out on loan West Ham are a good side. You know, I say they're a gritted teeth, but David Moyes is doing a very good job there. And straight away, 2 goals in his first game, fantastic. I mean, the ball should have been saved by the goalkeeper, but you know, you've got to have shots to score, and you know, a fair play to him. I quite like Jesse Lingard as a person. I think he's all right. You know, as a footballer, I think he's a little bit overrated. But you know, he was probably one of the first names on the England team sheet, you know, 2-3 years ago. So it's gone badly wrong for Man United, and maybe just needs somewhere to go and be happy, you know, and be happy playing football again. So you know, fair play to him. Best of luck.
I mean, there's someone telling me this. I think he's going to be a really good signing for West Ham. Maybe one of the best signings of this January window. I think he's going to add a different dimension to West Ham's team. Got to remember as well that they've just made Saeed Benrahma's transfer permanent, so to get him in on loan. I think his combination with Benrahma and Bowen, with Michail Antonio up front, I think on paper that sounds like a really good strike force and a good attacking line. Remains to be seen if that's going to be the case, but something's telling me to get him in my dream team. I need to update my players as well. I think
West Ham's best business was getting rid of Sebastian Haller for the money that they got, and it was a superb bit of business that, but he's been absolutely awful for them. So yeah, I mean, like I said, to get Benrahma in, Benrahma's done well, hasn't he? And as you say, Jared Bowen and Miguel Antonio will be perfect foil for Jesse Lingard. So West Ham will probably make the top 8 this season. Maybe push the top 6.
If you look at 5 midfielders, you've got Declan Rice and Souček in the centre. Then you've got that attacking line with Michail Antonio up front. Like, on paper, they do have a good team. Mm-hmm. If they can keep up the form, so be it. Brilliant. But we'll see what happens in regards to that. And what I want to do, and is I just want to kind of wrap this up, and I just want you to just give us the sign to look out for from this window going forward in the season. Like
I'm going to go for Josh Maja for Fulham. I think that's an interesting one. He needs to hit the ground running. They need him to hit the ground running, and it'll be nice to see someone who, was so close to my heart personally. Be nice to see him do well. So that one personally, from Academy Heart point of view, from my head, Josh King. I think I'd honestly think that'll turn out to be a really good sign for Everton.
Josh King.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with Lingard. Because I do think he's going to have to. He knows his career's on the line, so I think it's going to. For me, it's Lingard. What about a head scratcher where you thought, why have they signed him?
Matt Ryan for Arsenal. Not sure about that one at all, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm pretty with you on that one. To be honest, I don't know why they've signed him.
I don't know why Brighton's got rid of him.
And why Brighton's got rid of him?
I can't. Brighton now have Jason Steele on the bench, and that's scary. That even if their goalkeeper gets injured, God help them, because Jason Steele is not a Premier League level goalkeeper. He's not Championship level goalkeeper. He's absolutely awful. And Matt Ryan was a good backup. Perfect sign for Arsenal, especially with Leno going to be missing a few games now. It's a great sign for Arsenal. It's strange why Brighton let him go.
Yeah, another one though for you as well, which I think is a bit of a head scratcher in my opinion. Jonas Lossell went back. He's went on loan at FC Midtjylland, but Pickford's now injured, so Robin Olsen's coming in.
Yeah,
they could use Lossell on the bench.
I think Lossell's too good to be a third choice goalkeeper at Everton. So I think he needed to go for himself. I don't think Pickford's injury is that bad. Yeah. I think it's just like a little bit of a knock, and they'll be alternating with him and Olsen, don't they? So I think it was perfect for Lossell to go out on loan.
Fair enough. So you're going Josh King as a player to watch out for from this window going forward, eh?
I would say Josh King for the most interesting signing. Josh Maja for the player probably with the most potential, and then Matt Ryan for the most confusing.
Cool.
That's more for though why Brighton got rid of him than Arsenal getting him. I think it's a perfect signing for Arsenal, but I think it's a strange one for Brighton.
No worries, man. Well, that about wraps it up for us there, and cheers for joining us today.
No problem.
Cheers for your input and your insights on the January transfer window. Cheers for everyone for listening, and we'll be back shortly with another episode for you. Make sure you just following us on our Instagram, Twitter pages. Got a YouTube channel which is in development. Gonna have some interesting content go out on that. But just keep your eyes peeled. Get a listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, Sounder. But and cheers for your time today, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, bud.